Okay, welcome to the first video for Microsoft Access for ISYS 110. I'm going to be going through one of the lab exercises from the back of chapter 1. And the one that we will be doing is Downtown Internet Cafe Inventory Database. So the first part of the question is that it tells us to launch Microsoft Access and create a blank database called Cafe Inventory. So we click on blank database and we name the file Cafe Inventory and click create. As you'll see, it's taken us into the datasheet view and prompting us to enter some information. What we're going to do, though, is with the second part of the question, it tells us to design a table using the item and description field templates from the asset list. Okay, so we want to click on new field, okay, and you'll see in the asset list here we have got item and description. So let's just double click on those, and that adds them to the database for us. It's now telling us to switch to the design view. So in the datasheet view, we currently go to the design sheet view, and we want to name this table stock. Click OK. We're now prompted to change the primary key. So currently ID is the primary key, but we want item to be the primary key. And we can now delete this field. It's now adding us to set some properties and change the data types and add some description to some fields. So currently we have two fields, and both of these should be set to text. The field size for this should be 3, and the field size for description should be 50. It's also prompting us to enter a description. That's this field here, and this allows us basically, or allows people who are using the database to see what the field is used for. Okay, so this is called name of product. That's the description for this field, and the item field is a unique 3-digit product number. Okay, and that matches with the field size down here. Okay, so once that's done, it now tells us to create a second table. So we go to the create option and click table. And again, it's called this table 1. We'll fix that in a second, but it tells us to use the field templates, which we have here over on the right hand side, and to add some additional fields from the contact list. So here we have the contact list, and we want to add company, first name, last name, business phone number, and email address. And it looks like it hasn't added the company, so we'll go back and add that. And we'll just move these so that they look similar to what the question is wanting us to do, so that's much better. Let's just auto fit these so we can read all the headings. Excellent. Okay, it's now telling us to switch to the design view and to name this table supplier. Okay, so we have company name, and this should be changed to vendor. It should be text, and the description is company name of supplier, and the field size needs to be changed to 50. First name should be changed to contact first name, and it needs to be 50. Contact last name should be 50 as well. Business phone number can be left the same, except it should be changed to 15. And it has a description that says include area code, and email address, or should be just changed to email. And this needs to be changed to 50 as well. The description is quite straightforward. Email address of contact person. And we'll save that. Let's just close all of these. And we'll reopen them. Okay. It's now wanting us to go into the stock table and enter some information. So the first record is 197 and it's called Cafe Mocha. Second record is 198 and it's called Mango Strawberry Flavouring. And the third record is chamomile tea. So now prompting us to go to supplier table and add some suppliers. So this field is Cuppa Joe. The contact person is Leela Brooks. The phone number here and the email address. Okay, so we have to enter another 3 more records, so I'm going to probably just abbreviate some of these. Just so we're not spending so long on this video, but just be aware that during the exams do enter the data as requested. And the final record, paper products, and we put out our own name here, so I'm just going to put in my name. And I'll just make up a phone number. And I'll call myself BM at paperproducts.com. Okay, now that they've all been added, it tells us to add an existing field, or the existing field vendor, from the supplier table and add it to the stock table. Okay, so we go into the stock table, we go into this datasheet view and we click on add existing field. It'll prompt us for the partner table. In this case there's only one because we've only got 2 tables, so it can only be the other table that we're adding existing fields, and we want to add the vendor. So we double click. Yes. And we can click finish. There we go. So we've added the vendor. And it tells us to select Cuppa Joe as the vendor for the first product, Natural Nectars for the second product, Tea Time for the third product. Once that's done, it tells us there's been a spelling mistake in the Cuppa Joe contact email address. It's telling us to change it to Leela .brooks@cuppajoe. Just be aware we can go back in and make changes once we've entered the data. Okay, it now wants us to add a new field to the stock table called picture. So we can go to the stock table, and we can add a new field name here. So we're going to call this picture. We'll just go to the design view, and we'll change this to attachment type. So I've made a error. Let's go to the design view, and we'll make the picture field in the design view, which is what we should be doing. We'll change this to attachment. We'll just add a small bit of information here saying this is where pictures about the product can be attached. It now tells us to go back to the stock table in the datasheet view. Click on save, and you'll notice now we've got some attachment types here. So we want to attach a picture for the item 198. So we just double click on this, click add picture, and all we need to do is find where the item is kept. So in this case, we're in chapter 6. No, we're in chapter 5. And we look for AC flavoring. Click OK, and there we go. Now when we double click, we can view the image. Click OK. We now want to go into the stock table here and add a new record. So we're going to add item number 200, and we're going to select paper products as the item, or the vendor, and napkins as the product. Finally, wants us to go through all the tables just to make best fit, so that everything can fit in nicely, and for the vendor table as well. We now want to preview the supplier table. We'll change this to landscape, and we can change the margins. We'll make them wide. And that's it. So now we've made a database with two tables, a stock table and a supply table, and those two tables relate to each other as well through the through this vendor field. Now that that's done, we save the table or the database, and we can close Access or close the database. Save the changes, and that's it. Okay, well, I hope that's helped out. That's just a very quick overview on how to use Access to create a table using the design view and the datasheet view for entering data, and how to set up properties such as descriptions and data types. If you've got any problems, please email me.